Archie and Sam, thank you so much for joining us. And we would love to just chat a little bit about Focus, what it means for you guys. Why do we come together? I mean, I throw dinner parties every now and then, and for one or two people that's fine, but for 7,000 people it's quite the effort.
Yeah.
So why do we do this? Why do we gather in this field? What's the whole point of it?
Well, it's amazing how it's grown as well. It started as HTB going on a holiday together, and then as they planted churches, it grew, and now I think this time there's 60 churches that have been planted, or plants of plants, and so it's like one big family still, but it's more of an extended family. Yeah.
And what are some highlights for you guys as a family? You've been for many, many years coming along. What are some highlights for you coming together?
Yeah, I think there's so many highlights. Our guys now are in all the different youth streams, from younger youth up through not quite into students. We're not quite into students yet, but over the years they've just met with God. They've had their own encounters. So I think as a family, like it's like the build on year on year something like that. It's the investment, I think, in your kids that you see, like and they just literally come back desperate to get to Focus and
there's a
God
kind of sort of safety here as well. I mean, it's partly physically, like it's a safe site. You can let them go and play, and that's amazing because a lot of us are in cities where that you couldn't just let them roam, but also they explore friendships, and it feels like it does feel like a family. Everyone's in, and it's like an extended family because they're all camping with us, but also with our friends and their friends, and it's amazing.
And I think it's quite exciting seeing, obviously as we've planted churches and we've seen families go from either St Peter's or originally when we went from London, we come back to Focus and they reconnect with their friends. So like in the youth stream, you really do feel like there's this real connection again for them. So I think that's been quite a highlight, hasn't it? Just seeing that able to happen.
Absolutely.
It's been amazing.
Yeah.
So good. There's something unique about Focus with the community pitches and how competitive we get between all the churches. But and obviously St Peter's Brighton, they rock it every year. I wouldn't say they win, but they're pretty up there. But what is it about your church community bringing them to Focus? Why is it important for local churches to come on this journey with you guys?
Well, I think that what we say to our church is, we're all trying to make deeper friendships, and you can't make them just on a Sunday for a half an hour. And wouldn't it be great to have someone said they make 4 years of friendships in 4 days. Focus, I think that's something in that. So there's something about it being a kind of community. Actually, if my aim is that if they didn't ever leave the St Peter's community pitch, they would still have an amazing week. But then they're part of something much bigger, because I think that for people to have a real sense of belonging, you need to have a group of friends who know you and love you and you can walk through life with. But belonging is also found in attaching yourself or your community to a larger one. And if Focus can hit those two things, then that's where I think the momentum is.
Yes. And apart from St Peter's Brighton, which is your favourite community pitch that you've seen?
Well, I think I wonder whether the 4:30 at HTB is amazing.
Although Hackney are giving away free beer, so quite the thing, quite the win.
And one of our church, actually they're so good because one of the plants we've done is Portsmouth, and they were like really super competitive about like how many they were bringing. And then the guys in Whitehawk, they've got over 70 here. And a lot of that is due to the people who've given, the offering to help people come who wouldn't be able to come. So it is like a real mixed economy, isn't it?
St Matthias, they've got like pretty good kids zone there.
Amazing.
So it just depends.
Soft play.
They got soft play. There you go.
Yeah. So good. and so that is a microcosm as well of the wider network during throughout the year and the touch points throughout the year, whether it's leadership conference, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Explain how important is that piece as well for pastors of churches, for teams of churches, but also for congregation members to be part of something again larger.
Yeah, I think that you're right. There's sort of about 3 or 4 touch points through the year, and we have a gathering with the senior leaders, and then there's a leadership conference where ideally it's the kind of leadership of the church, both lay and staff, and then Focus when it's like the whole church. And actually I think each of those levels matters. If I'm honest, I used to think, if you just got the leaders together, and then they could do all their own church weekends away. But there's something about actually gathering our people, because then they catch the vision of being part of a bigger movement. And when I think about our own sort of history of planting, I think it's not so much because we've managed to get the leaders inspired, but people, because actually, frankly, I'm never going to plant to Hastings. I've been called to Brighton. I'm not going to plant to Portsmouth or Crawley or the places where we've planted to, but someone's going to. And the ones who've put their names down to plant, they've generally been here. And they've heard other stories of churches planting and thought, I want to do that. So, yeah, it's all kind of galvanising.
And it's extraordinary, the unity, I think. That's the thing that I kind of see is across the churches, that real sense of unity and connection across the different pastors, and them being able to really connect with one another. I don't think, at such a time as this, I think you can't really get away from how important that is. So, yeah.
And something you guys speak about quite a bit is the cost of planting, and the cost of stepping out, and the cost of going beyond. Sam, could you speak a little bit about, like, what has that meant for you as a family and as a community? What's some of the costs that's actually been?
I think we learned from HDB, you send your best, and we've certainly felt we've done that over the years and sent out our best, and I think it does feel costly at the time, especially when you're leaving people, sending out people that you love. But I think our greatest joy now I think it definitely equals, almost rivals, how much joy we get from being at St. Peter's, but is when we go and visit some of the church plants and we just see what God's doing, and it inspires us and it makes us feel, wow, like, I can't believe we're part of this. And actually so it doesn't even feel like a cost, because it actually just feels so exciting to see new life that would never have been happening if that plant hadn't gone. And really you have to give away, and that's what this whole kind of kingdom work is about, is like giving away, and actually the growth then happens, like sowing seeds, isn't it? And life sort of comes up, and we are seeing life all around the country from that happening. So it can feel like a cost, but no, I think it's such a blessing from it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah. And like 5, 10 years, 15 years down the line, what do you think Focus looks like? What do you think the network looks like?
Wow.
I think that I see expansion and growth, and I think then it's trying to work out what planting looks like within that. I think I probably see greater diversity in all sorts of ways. I think we're just beginning to see that, but I think there's a huge amount more to come, and therefore how do you then make Focus work? Because if it's a family, it should be that everybody in the family can come and play a part, and how do you do that on scale? So I'm quite excited about trying to figure out something of that, and I think that I think it's sort of it's sort of fueling this heart for our cities, and I think one of the things we've noticed about the network group of churches, a lot of them have a very strong what we might call social transformation arm, and I think that's going to be really key. We've seen it in the plants going out, but I'd love to see Focus have a bit more of that. Wouldn't it be amazing if the offering was really taken up to really fund some of that kind of stuff? Yeah.
And Sam, if someone is wanting to, or is finding it hard to book on to Focus or to come to Focus, there can be a myriad of different reasons that are all great why people can't make it. What would your advice be, or why would someone go from zero, no interest, to actually I'm going to book on and come along?
Yeah, gosh, it's a difficult one, isn't it? I think, and I have these conversations a lot, obviously, with different people, different reasons. I think people can make lots of excuses, and there's loads of and good reasons why people can't come, and I try not to be too judgmental. And you don't want to feed into that FOMO culture, but actually it can be quite helpful, and because I don't think we do want to miss out on what God has got for us, and actually He is doing extraordinary things in these places and at Focus, and when we put aside that time and actually come into this place and encounter His presence, it is extraordinary. And so for me, I don't sell it anymore on the holiday. I don't even sell it on the community thing. I sell it on like, do you want to give God some opportunity? Do you want to say yes to him? Do you want to hear his voice? Like, I don't know why it happens at Focus. I don't, you know, it's annoying at times. Like, I'd much prefer it to be in a lovely spa hotel somewhere rather than in a field, in a camp. But that's what God does, you know. He's got a great sense of humour. So I just kind of would say, just don't miss out. Like, just come along, try it, and we'll be there with you. That's the key, I think, is making sure that if you're inviting people, that you're right alongside them and connecting people in, so they don't feel on their own. They feel safe and loved and all of that. So.
So good. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
It's been really fun to chat.
It's really lovely to see you.
Have a great rest of your week.
And you. Thank you, Alex.
Loved it. Thank you.